Hey everyone, welcome to another Power Monkey podcast. On today's episode, Chad and I interview Aaron Hinde. Aaron is the president of the LIFEAID Beverage company, as well as being one of the co-founders. We've known Aaron for years. He's an amazing guy. We're very lucky to have him and his company support for our Power Monkey camp. This specific episode could have gone in a bunch of different directions, but with the things going on in California right now with the fires, actually along the whole western coast, we talked a little bit more about Aaron's personal life. A few weeks ago, his house was burned down. His whole property was burned down in one of the California fires. And we talked a little bit about what's been going on in his life since that happened, picking up the pieces, figuring out what the next steps are for him and his family, as well as for the brand, and how his approach and his mentality has allowed him to kind of wade through this step by step. It's incredibly encouraging. I'm incredibly grateful that Aaron was willing to talk to us about such a tragic event in his life. I know that he's going to be coming through this stronger, and it was very, very encouraging to me, and I know it will be for you guys too, to hear how he's taking this step by step, day by day, for both him and his family and his brand. So thank you, Aaron, for coming on board for this one. I hope you guys enjoy it. All right, back with another Power Monkey podcast here. Aaron, thank you so much for taking the time with us, man. We're happy to have you on.
Hey, stoked to be here. Thanks, guys.
So first, Chad and I were commenting, you're a pretty sick setup over there. Do you do your own podcasts with FitAid?
We've done some specifically to the consumer packaged goods industry, but this is more for more volumes being guests on other people's podcasts.
Amazing. That's awesome. Not a bad setup for just being guests. That's a nice little little man cave for you.
Hey, how you do anything is how you do everything, right?
Absolutely. So it's a strange time for everybody. Obviously, 2020 has been a crazy year, and it seems to be getting compounded. Every day, every week, every month, something else happened. And you specifically have been hit pretty hard recently. And I wanted to talk about a little bit, if you're okay with it, with what happened with you and the fires recently that happened in Northern California. The whole West Coast has been kind of going through something pretty traumatic recently with the fires, but you specifically been hit, and our community has been hit along with you. And I was just wondering if you might be able to kind of let the listeners know a little bit about what you've been going through with the fires recently.
Yeah. About a month ago, the 18th of August, fires came up on us hard and heavy. It was really smoked in, but we thought we were going to be okay. And then I brought my kids and wife into town just to get a hotel room, just to get them out of the smoke. And I got a reverse 911 call, ran back up to the house, and we had just finished a gorgeous tree house on our property. So, we had 6 acres, bought it 17 years ago when it was just a deer trail, totally off the grid. So completely solar, well, septic tanks, and, over the years, I've just been putting all my time and money into the property and built out 3 places to live. My folks lived on the place, full orchard, chickens, grapevines, lawberry vines, citrus orchard, and just finished a $150,000 tree house up 50 foot up 2 redwoods that was just beautiful. Had a full kitchen and milled wood from the property. It was really a work of art. And so we got the reverse 911, ran back up, went right up to the treehouse because it has the best vantage point, and I could see visible flames coming towards us. And just had my wife get out immediately. Was looking at the flames and figured that I still had a little bit of time before it got to me. So got her out of the house. Told her we can't have our kids growing up with no parents, and I figured I had 1 to 2 hours before it got to me. So I kind of was gonna hop in the shower, like just kind of decompress and get my thoughts straight, do a little breathing, and figure out exactly, be very thoughtful about what I was gonna grab and get out of there. And then my friends, we were on a text thread, texted me and said, "Hey, the fire jumped to the front of your property." And I'm like, "No, it didn't. I can see it right here." But I didn't. I decided, if they were getting intel that I didn't have, I better take their word for it. So I very quickly threw a few things in a bag and got out, made it to my front gate. We were about a mile down a dirt road. Realized I forgot my wallet because it was on the bathroom sink as I was about to hop in the shower. So I actually turned around, went back, grabbed my wallet, because I figured if my house burns down and I don't have any ID or anything, I'm totally screwed. Looked downstairs, had my brand new DJ mixer downstairs, ran in, ripped that out of the wall, threw that in the car. And then I was just thinking of all the wine I've been collecting over the years, and it was all sitting down there.
Oh my
And so I
gosh.
had ran back in, grabbed 4 bottles, 2 in each hand, threw it in the car. As I did that, I'm like, if I die because I just grabbed 4 bottles of wine, I'm a complete fucking idiot.
Mm.
But raced back out, and thank God I got out when I did. Probably 10, 20 more minutes, I'd have been toast. There was flames coming up on the side of the road. Jumped to the other side of the road. I was convinced the whole mountain was going to burn. Then the next 4 days were really just a waiting game. Couldn't get up, couldn't access it, didn't know if my house made it or not. And I think it was about day 5, I finally had snuck up through police, all the cops and everything. I just maneuvered my way to the property. And it was all gone. 1,000, probably 2,000 trees gone. Maybe 5 trees made it on the entire property. Tree house is gone. I went to the DMV and turned in 8 pink slips for vehicles that I didn't have any insurance on because I never thought I would need it, like dirt bikes, travel trailer, my boat, like this. So it's been a challenging time when you put so much of your blood, sweat, and tears into something that you thought would be a generational property. And I would tell my kids, like, hey, you're going to take that once we build our dream house, your mom and I, you're going to take the house that we live in. I don't want you to go in debt for a house. I want our family and multiple. We already had 3 generations there. I wanted 4 generations to be living on the property. And I planned being buried on the property. I was going to bury my folks on the property. And I made the false assumption that this material thing out in nature that we helped co-create had permanence to it, and I've realized through this process that all material things by definition are impermanent, and the only thing that really does have permanence in life, and something I've been thinking a lot about, is our thoughts, our words, and our actions, which all create a certain trajectory for our souls. And other than that, everything is impermanent. So it was another difficult and challenging lesson in accurate thinking, or inaccurate thinking, I should say, that I've been dealing with here for the last month or so.
I mean, I can't even imagine. My heart goes out to you and your family right now. I'm first just grateful that you guys are okay and that you can have these conversations about, what comes next. And have you thought about what you're going to do with the property? Is the goal to start again on that same piece of land?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it was our dream property when we bought it, and then it still is, even though it doesn't look like its former self, but nature has a way of healing all things. And even my last trip up, I'll go up this afternoon again, but my last trip up, there were little green ferns starting to bloom, and around the dead redwoods there were sprouts coming up of new life. So this is nature's cycle, and hopefully a big wake-up call for us Californians that we need really different policies moving forward as in regards to forest management.
Yeah, and I guess that's my other question with regards to this, because we've had a little scare up here in Oregon along the lines of what happened down by you. It kind of worked its way up to Oregon and into Washington, and actually all the way up to the border of Canada as well. It was pretty severe for a while. By us, we got everything packed by our door. We were right on the cusp of being evacuated a couple of weeks ago, and fortunately it didn't come all the way up to our doorstep, but it was a scare that we weren't prepared for. And do you think that there are things that can actually be done to kind of mitigate these things in the future that haven't been done yet? You think it's a forest management issue that, if you're looking to rebuild, it seems like you're okay with the possibility of this happening again?
Yeah, I mean, there's things that government can step in and do. So forest management, I mean, forever it's been like, oh, don't touch anything, especially in Santa Cruz here. And I'm not wanting to get political around this, but just a common sense approach is you have to keep the duff under control. The duff is the accumulation of all the leaves and branches that fall over the years. It's highly flammable. I mean, half the houses that were burned, over 900 homes, could have been saved just by duff management. You have to take out at least a third of the trees. I mean, Mother Nature's going to do it, or we do it. So there's certain macro policies that need to get put in place that have been neglected because of a political ideology thought, even though, you know, nobody that's in forestry would say this is the way you properly manage a forest.
Yeah.
And then from a very personal perspective, making sure you're having enough defensible space and hardscape, and, you know, cleaning your gutters, keeping your roof clean, using renewable building materials that are, you know, more fireproof and fire preventative type measures, you know, having ample water supply on your house, and also just looking at your insurance. I mean, look, you know, I was severely underinsured, and a lot of that was because of the nature of my compound, right? It was totally off the grid. It was non-conforming, so it didn't fit into the nice little buckets that insurance companies like to put things in. But even with your own life insurance or whatever it is, get up to date on that. You know, a lot of times, like if I would have insured all my toys, it would have probably cost me another $100 a year. Yet I'm going to take, you know, at least $100,000 loss just in those things going away that weren't insured. So just review those type of things on an annual basis. Make sure your significant other knows where, hey, here's the safe, here's the passwords to, you know, to get into my stuff. Here's all the account numbers. Here's the insurance if you need it. Like, you don't need, these are the things you don't need it till you need it. And then all of a sudden you don't want to have to be dealing with this with 10 minutes, right, of preparation. That's kind of where we're at. Even when it was all smoky, everyone's like, oh no, it's a little brush fire miles away, it'll never get to us. Even we're hearing from our local government, oh, it's totally fine and nothing to worry about. And then the wind shifts and boom, you know, you're getting evacuated and you're not prepared, and, you know, you don't have all of that together. And so, you know, it's some of that is preventable. We had what's called a canopy fire at my house. Most of Bonnie Doon and the Santa Cruz Mountains did not have a canopy fire. They had a ground fire, a duff fire that just scorched the bottom of the trees and took the ground, all the underbrush. So unfortunately, we got the worst. You know, even people, firemen that have come up to my place since that have been fighting fires their entire lives say, wow, I've actually never seen a full canopy fire like this before. So where it just takes the entire trees, nothing survives. I mean, there were structures that were just complete hardscape around them, no fuel for, you know, like 50 yards, still melted down and burned. You couldn't even imagine. My fiberglass boat, there's just a puddle. We have the engine's a puddle. You can't. It's incomprehensible what a fire that hot can do. And they say, you know, it gets, you know, up to 1,000 degrees when it's burning like that, and inside a house it can get over 2,000 degrees. Wow. Crazy.
It's unreal. Well, again, I'm just, I think we're all grateful that you guys are okay, and that you can kind of start taking steps to rebuild and look at this as something to, whatever you can get positives out of this, and, you know, be grateful that you're still there with your family and friends. From a business perspective, LifeAid is based in Santa Cruz, right? You guys are based right there in town. You grew the business there a little over a decade ago. Has this affected the business at all, being that, you know, Santa Cruz was affected, not only you personally, but how was the area affected, and how are you dealing with from a business perspective?
Yeah, I mean, our team is awesome. I mean, we had, you know, my business partner, Ryan, his home was threatened. Fortunately, he made it through, and he lives on the same mountain I do, up in Bonnie Doon. So, you know, he was up there and really trying to fight the fire and deal with spot fires for a while. I was, you know, a little bit out of commission for about a week. The team has we had two other team members, three others that had their houses immediately threatened, two where it burned right up, and the fire department was able to put it out right up to their house. So it was a stressful time, but our team, everybody stepped up with encouragement, support, dinners, you know, just stepping up and taking over management of all the day-to-day tasks, and keeping the machine rolling, keeping the company rolling at a very high level. So it really was amazing, because it wasn't like I was sitting there saying, hey, you guys need to do this, 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 this. It's like they just all did what needed to be done and executed on a very high level. And we got outreach. I mean, we probably got, I'm going to say we got $40,000 worth of donated consumer packaged goods, not only from us and pallets that we gave away, but from, you know, all kinds of other companies, bar companies, drink companies, all sending it to our HQ. Our whole team was out in the community, delivering it to all the fire departments, delivering it to all the shelters, all the displaced people. I think we just got our last loads out a couple of days ago. I mean, we had volumes and volumes of gift cards coming in, and food and drinks and toothbrushes and all kinds of stuff that we were able to get out. In addition, we did a little fundraising campaign, GoFundMe campaign. I think we raised, you know, like 20 grand that we're gonna do something very tangible, whether that's buy a fire engine for one of the departments or something along those lines. So, yeah, I mean, our team's first class around here.
Yeah, it never ceases to amaze me how the community always comes together and really fights together with something like this. But, you know, one of the things that you mentioned earlier, Aaron, is how this has changed your perspective a little bit. And I wonder, you know, that being kind of just with life in general, when it comes to business, when it comes to FIDE, when it comes to some goals that you might have for the business or for yourself as an individual, has this experience changed your mindset in that regard at all?
Well, the interesting thing is, my mindset, outside of, you know, the inaccuracy of looking at, you know, what I had worked on and developed on that property, and it being like kind of a permanent thing to live on, most of my mindset and my rituals, my daily routine, my morning ritual, my dogmas, my philosophies were all intact. And it's funny because I've been, you know, been thinking about it. It's like, it's so easy when times are good, when life is quote unquote good. I don't even say good, because I don't even believe that there is good or bad anymore as far as what's happening to you. It's like, you know, it's the whole Tony Robbins thing, life is happening, you know, for you, not to you, right? And so, you know, but this challenging time, let's say, it's easy to have these dogmas when times are good. You know, it's easy to say, oh yeah, I believe in this, and I wake up and I do this routine, and I write in my gratitude journal every day, and I do my breathing, and I work out, and, you know, blah, 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 which is all the stuff that I did and I do. The challenge comes when you're hit with a really tough time. That's when the rubber hits the road. It's like, do I really believe this? You know, do I really believe that everything happens for a reason? You know, like, what reason is this? This is a tough pill to swallow. And, you know, at the end of the day, the answer is yes. I believed it before. I believe all that stuff now, and even more so. So, you know, being steadfast in my convictions that, you know, things do happen for a reason, that the obstacle is the way, as Ryan Halliday would say, you know, and that that I am being forced to deal with loss to a very high level, you know, a very high level, a higher level than I didn't realize how, you know, attached I was to this property, this way of life. It's a way of life, because you know, my way of life was going out on my deck, taking a piss off my deck, you know, playing music and DJing as loud as I want, as late as I want, you know, shooting my guns at the pistol range, getting out my bow, shooting archery, having 100 friends over. Like that's my lifestyle. That's the life I developed for myself and my family and friends, having people over every weekend, staying, you know, with a place to stay. And now, you know, you find yourself homeless, you find yourself living in an RV, you find yourself dependent, literally dependent upon other people to help take care of everything. I mean, your family, you don't have deodorant, you don't have a toothbrush. Like, it's you know, it's been a challenge, but I still hold fast in my beliefs, and if anything, those convictions have been they've been the rock that's kind of helped get me through a lot of these things. It's really easy to go into victim mode, and I've been battling with my own thoughts and my own repetitive thoughts, and just being so conscious of not going down that rabbit hole, not being a victim. Even a couple of weeks ago, Forbes did a little interview, and they're like, so what's it like? The first question is, what's it like to be a fire victim? And I'm like, well, first of all, I'm not a victim. I'm not a victim of anything. I've never been a victim in my life. You can call me a fire survivor. And if it didn't sound too weird, I'd be a fire thriver. Like, how do you thrive through COVID? How do you thrive through a fire? How do you thrive through loss of X, Y, and Z? Because we know that in life, pain is inevitable. There's always pain. There's pain from the earliest age coming out of the womb. There's pain when we learn to walk and we fall and scrape our knees. Life is full of pain. But as my good friend Jesse Elder told me, it's a choice to suffer. It's a choice to suffer. And suffering is all about the story that we tell ourselves, so embrace the pain, but I'm not going to choose to suffer through this thing. I'm going to choose to take actions and come out with a bigger and stronger V2, version 2 of myself, V2 of the property, the house, just everything. And until it all burns down again,
Right.
Which it inevitably will.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'm a little bit blinded on this because I'm always preaching a message of the obstacle is the way in some kind of way. And I'm always, watching motivational speeches in that regard and kind of hang around people that naturally believe that type of thing. So when I'm preaching those messages, I'm hoping that there are people out there that need to hear it and that changes their perspective a little bit. So with with you doing that as well, how many people out there do you think are allowing that type of thing to hold them back? So maybe they don't understand completely that the obstacle is truly the way. The ones that you're saying perhaps are looking at themselves as victims. How much is that holding people back?
100% of people have something. So much of our belief system, the dogmas that we've bought into are a direct result of, as we know, this developmental stage 0 to 7 years old, basically, when we're just in download mode as kids, right? So this belief system then dictates the repetitive thoughts that are going through our mind. And those repetitive thoughts become our words become our actions over time equal results, and those results back up, reinforce a belief system. So around and around you go. That's why when people get into victim mentality, it's like they're always a victim, and then nothing ever works out for them, which reinforces them being a victim, which continues down the spiral. So even when you're aware of this and you've learned how to break the cycle in certain ways or get it to spiral in the right direction, there's still little challenges. There's still little jealousies. There's still little ego that creeps in. There's still, it may not be a macro thing, but there's still little micro challenges all the time. So I think everybody deals with, even the most successful people I've ever met, billionaires, have insecurities about the stupidest little shit. And you're like, really? Like, whoa. So what we take for granted or what comes easy to us may be a struggle for other people.
Right.
But the good news is none of this stuff is static. It's very dynamic, and we can change the trajectory of any of this to go in a positive way if we have the right tool set. And that's a lot. I was just talking with my wife last night about how the kids are really struggling right now, both teenagers, losing their home and everything they've ever known. They didn't get home at all, so they got nothing. I grabbed my daughter's guitar and that's it. My son didn't get anything, and it's so easy as a parent to want to go in and remove all suffering from our kids. We don't want our kids to suffer, especially in the ways that we suffered, because we know how painful it is. And it's not the right approach, and you can never remove that, right? Because eventually they leave the nest and they got to go through what they got to go through. So what is the goal then? To not remove the pain. It's inevitable. We can't really quell the suffering, but what we can do is give them a toolkit, a means to fall back on, an ideology, a process, to deal with those pain points to avoid long-term suffering, so they don't create these victim stories for themselves that repeat over and over on loop in their head. And what does that look like? From I've got my daughter doing the 5-minute journal every morning now, to, my son and I, when I was taking him to school, I mean, for years, it would be like, what are you grateful for? What'll help make today great? Give me one self-affirmation. He'd get out of the car, we'd both say together, today is a fabulous day filled with opportunity and potential. Just setting that mindset right, going through a morning prayer together, going through breathing exercises. Like, it's all part of the tool belt that, we need to deal with life, because life is tough, man. We're all finding that out this year for sure.
Yeah, I love that answer, and it's certainly true 100% of the people. And I guess I've never really looked at it that way, but absolutely. I mean, all of us go through little things every single day that type of thing is happening. And it makes me wonder, Aaron, with, as successful as you are with LifeAid, were there any major victim moments for LifeAid that you guys had to overcome, and what was that major obstacle?
Oh God, there were so many, so many. I think part of it was we just always had that even unrealistic confidence that it was gonna work out. We burned the ships at the shore. Everyone says, well, how did you guys come up with the idea for LifeAid? And I always would say ignorance and passion, because if we knew
Right.
how challenging it would be, I don't know that we would have ever started. I mean,
Right.
So, going into something where you're not part of the industry, where you do have a degree of ignorance, but you have that fire in the belly that's going to keep you moving through the hard times. I will tell you, when I was a very high income earner in my previous career, but it was in scarcity mode, I ended up bankrupt and broke. And it wasn't until I shifted my mindset to a more of an abundance mindset, even though I was completely broke, and living on that property in a 400 square foot RV, making mac and cheese and tuna every night, boiling water for hot baths and that kind of shit, that I had a mindset shift, and 10 years later, just in a much more abundant place. So it's like abracadabra, with our thoughts and words we create. And I've seen it so clearly in my own life, the ability to manifest our own reality. I mean, it became it's so clear to me now that it started when I was a chiropractor. I would, have a thought about somebody or a dream about somebody that I hadn't seen in years in my practice, years. And then literally the next day they'd come in and see me. I'm like, oh my God, I was just thinking about you yesterday, or, this and that. And I used to say that, and it would start happening more and more frequently. And I would say that and say that. And then after a period of time, I wouldn't even mention it to him anymore, just because I knew, oh, I'm going to see so-and-so tomorrow, or, I'm going to run across him here shortly. Like, it just became automatic. I'm like, whoa, this is some powerful shit. And the more I actually started studying it and embracing it, it's pretty amazing. The power of intent, That's why I'm just so struggling with I need to always maintain just personal alignment and personal, complete, transparent integrity. Because I know the power of that, even the power, the accountability to myself, but the cosmic power, like even when nobody's looking, that stuff has power. So I don't know. It all ties in. I don't know exactly how it all fits together yet. I'm sure someday I'll sit back on my deathbed and smile.
Can you talk a little bit more about, we were talking about with the abundance approach. You were talking, you had a really successful career as a chiropractor prior to launching LifeAid, what was it, 11 years ago now? And I'm just curious exactly what goes into that change of mindset, change of career path, and when you talk about abundance approach, what exactly that means.
Yeah. scarcity approach is, a zero-sum game, meaning there's a winner, there's a loser. There's only a finite amount of resource. There's a finite amount of money. There's a finite amount of whatever it is, right? And so you're coming from an approach where, well, I need to maximize my take, and therefore everybody else's take is minimized. It's completely inaccurate. It's not only and part of this is reinforced. Like, my dad was more of an abundance thinker. He would say things to me like, the sky is the limit, right? Your attitude's your altitude. Like, these are more abundance concepts. My mom, came in contrast with saying things like, money doesn't grow on trees, right? Well, that is a scarcity mindset comment. And a lot of us may have heard that growing up. Money doesn't grow on trees. Well, guess what, Mom? It actually does grow on trees because it's made of paper. And it actually, even more than that, it comes out of thin air, because literally money is just zeros in the Federal Reserve's computer that they decide to type in there. Like, they just pumped, whatever it was, $6 trillion in the economy. Look, so it literally comes out of thin air. So when you start to realize, like, well, money, these resources, food, like my buddy Angelo over at Alpha Hippie, he's got this thing. We had him over before the place burned, obviously, and Angelo, he's eating so slow, and I'm looking at him. I come from 7 kids, like, we're in there like, you got to eat as fast as you can, or else you're just not gonna eat, right? So I've always been a ridiculously fast eater. And I'm watching it, and I'm like done with my plate, ready to go back for a second. He's still like eating, just chewing on the first thing. I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, oh, I take every bite, I chew it 20 times. Why the hell do you do that? He's like, it helps me stay in abundance. I'm like, He's like, I've never gone hungry before, and I am, and why do you eat so fast? Because you think you're going to run out of food. Have you ever run out of food? Have you ever gone hungry? I'm like, that's a good point. No, I haven't. Then why the hell are you eating so fast? Like, it's going to be there, just slowing things down. So like little mind shifts. Okay, I was in scarcity mode when it came to eating my dinner, not abundance mode. Some homeless guy asked me for some money on the street before. I'd be like, F you, get a job. I mean, you're a drug addict. Like, all the judgment going through my head. It's like, well, here's $20, like, it's just the money will come back to me. Someone needs help. Like, I've seen the generosity poured my direction. Like, someone needs help. One of, my mentors have written me big checks. I had a friend 10 years ago write me a $25,000 check and just hand it to me. He's like, no interest, just pay me back when you can. And it made a huge difference for us where we were at in our business, because it paid for a major like marketing education that he thought we would benefit from. And he just paid for it for us. Here you go. Pay me back when you can. Like, when you're in abundance, you're attracting more abundance. It's the law of attraction, right? So the more I can come from an abundance perspective in all aspects of my life, all I'm doing is creating more abundance. The more money I give away, the more money I attract. The more this I give away or donate or whatever, the more comes back to me. The more advice I give away, the more advice I get. Like, it's just the law. It's a law of attraction at work. And the opposite of that is so destructive. So you go into, scarcity mode and stingy mode, then what are you attracting? You're attracting people that are trying to rip you off, and you're just reinforcing that, and you're so it's slippery. It's slippery. So the takeaway, the biggest thing that people could do if they're struggling in any aspect of their life is like, okay, how can I be of more service in this particular area? How can I what was the book? Just finished a book. The title will come to me eventually here. There's a story in there about this guy, and he wanted to be, he was at, say, this level of business, say $100,000 a year. And he went to church, and he was a tither, and he starts tithing big amounts, like 30-40% of his income, and he's tithing. And then the priest, meets him and says, look, I've been seeing your tithing checks. Like, did you get a big raise or anything? He's like, it's 10%, right? And the guy said, no, but the future vision of myself is that type of income. So I'm going to start acting that way right now, right? So act your way into whatever lifestyle you want to achieve. So, what are the habits of somebody making 400 grand a year? Well, if they're a tither, they'd be giving away $40,000, not 10,000. So, you start to act your way into a different way of thinking, act your way into a different way of operating. And when you start to act your way into a different way of operating, you get a different result. That result, again, reinforces your belief system, that reinforces, your thought process, the words that come out of your mouth, your actions, and then you spiral in that direction.
Yeah, I certainly believe what you're saying, and I've seen that act the same way in my life with a lot of things, but I still find myself struggling with that, and I know that a lot of other people do as well. And it's incredibly hard to trust in that process, and to take kind of a step out on faith in that regard. And you talked about something that someone can do in starting to act, the way that act in the way where they want to head towards the goal that they want to achieve, or towards the place that they want to be in life. But how would you say that someone can take even a small step towards this mindset when they're kind of in a hole? They're in a deep hole of, and like you said, stinginess. I'm in a deep hole of stinginess. I've got to hold everything that I have tight and protect everything, and be within myself, and not allow myself for 1 second to uh, extend a hand, or to even give a quarter to someone that's asking for something. How can someone take a small steps towards changing that mindset?
Yeah, and I think you nailed it. It is small. It's baby steps for the most part, right? Because you got to slowly reinforce and break behavior patterns. So, I mean, if it's material things that you're attached to, there's an easy way that I just learned. You go light it all on fire, and you don't have anything anymore.
Yeah.
If it's financial stinginess, then you need to set aside whatever you're uncomfortable with. So it's like, oh, I'd be comfortable giving $1 away a day. Like, oh, give 20 away. Like, go and force yourself to find people in need and give them $20. Give away what you are slightly uncomfortable with. And then guess what? After about a week, you're comfortable with that, and then kind of up it some more, and then see what starts coming back. Like, you can test this theory out because it's a universal law that's been true since the beginning of time. So it's fine to crawl before you walk on this one. But actually test it. Don't give within your comfort zone, because then you're just reinforcing the same mindset and behaviors you've always had. You got to go a little bit out of the comfort zone, and then watch what comes back, and then go a little further out and watch what comes back.
And you're saying that, your mom and your dad had different approaches to this, right?
Subconsciously, not consciously, but in kind of, yeah, in inspecting and retrospect of my early years, I'm like, what was the programming that I got? And now I'm seeing that, dichotomy.
Did you gravitate towards more one than the other when you were kind of starting to recognize that, I'm forced with a situation right now that I can either go one direction or another? Did you have kind of something instilled in you? Did your dad's perspective kind of imprint on you a little bit more effectively than your mom's approach, or was it something that you kind of had to look at and say, this is the kind of person that I would prefer to be like?
No, I think his approach imprinted, but he also, took bigger risks, and, I'm a risk taker, and it didn't work out for me a couple times, and it didn't, it definitely didn't work out, for him as well. So there's that balance. And I think that's why, my business partner and I are a good team, because I'm so far in one camp, in one direction, that, having that counterbalance can keep us from, you burn the ships at the shore. You better sure as hell make sure that whatever you're going for is going to work out, especially if you've got responsibilities like mortgage and family and kids and that kind of thing. Yeah. I'm a kind of guy who's like, burn it, move. And sometimes you burn it and then you turn and you're like, oh, wait a second. I was thinking too accurately about this. And now I'm in a really tight spot. And I've gotten myself in that spot, several times, including right now with like, I remember getting a little ahead of the game here the last few years. Like, I'm not feeling confident about the stock market and this and that. And, I'm going to put the money into the property. You can't go wrong there. Like, this is for generations, and, it'll keep appreciating in value.
Sure. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I mean, be able to keep a positive perspective doing all of those things is just, I mean, incredibly challenging. But one, like you're talking about, it's the person that you are and the person that you want to be. But also, I mean, you seem to have such a strong connection to your family and your kids specifically, and it's a teaching moment every day, right? It's an opportunity to say, what am I passing along to them in terms of when they face a challenge? And I mean, it's pretty clear to me from speaking with you now, but also from knowing you from a little bit from the past, that you want to be a person that kind of imprints on them a way to be able to combat challenging situations in a really positive way.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's all we can ask for as a parent, right? We want our kids to be, more loving, more open, more mature, better artists, better communicators, like everything. And if, financial freedom comes with that, great. But I mean, I would love for my kids to, live on our property out in nature and be artists, that would fill my heart with joy. I mean, so again, we can't shield them from what's going on here in life, but giving them the tools to deal with it from the mature, loving human beings that they are. I mean, kids are so much better these days than we were, and the shit that we had to deal with when we were young. I mean, so much of my insecurity around them is based upon what I went through. And I was a little, I was just saying this morning, I still have, or I used to have until it burned, my license when I was 16 years old, 5'3", 101 pounds. I was a little fucking twerp. I didn't grow until I was 19 years old, So like all this shit that I'm holding on to, all this baggage is based on my experience being a little twerp in high school and not being a cool kid and all of this. And it's like all this insecurity. And they're like, Dad, people don't say that or do that anymore. Like, you're tripping, I'm like, wait a second, why am I projecting upon them? Like, they're smart, they're capable, they are young adults, they're a lot more open-minded than we are. So give them the tools. Don't try to like make the decisions for them.
Right. Well, I know we don't have a ton of time, but and I wanted to discuss a little bit more about what's going on with LifeAid, but can you give us any insight into what you guys are planning and going through in terms of looking forward to 2021? You guys have been doing so much and making so many incredible strides over the last couple of years. How are you feeling about the company right now as a business model, and what are your plans for 2021? Do you have anything kind of on the agenda right now?
Yeah, I feel great. We have a great team. Obviously challenged with COVID. A massive part of our business is still coming from gym revenue, and 35% domestically, and 100% of our international was based on gym sales. With all of that basically being shut down overnight, it was a challenge that we did some pivots this year. Fortunately, we had a pretty robust direct-to-consumer and Amazon business, which has grown tremendously during that time. We had the gym give pack program going, so if their members started buying direct from us, we were cutting them a $15, per case cash kickback, not a percentage of profits ambiguity bullshit that just drives me insane, because I go, does anyone make money in the beverage industry? That's total bullshit. But it was like a firm here, one case sold, $15 if it goes back to you, like that. So we were able to do some concrete things there, make some pivots, and I'm feeling good. The team's in great shape. We continue to excel in most major retailers. We're still early in the shift to, better for you. We see it on the coast, definitely more, but I think, middle America is starting to wake up that, look, high, sugar is a drug, and it's not good for you. High caffeine is a drug. These artificial sweeteners, these artificial colors are all neurotoxin. They're carcinogenic. So, let's clean up our diets. Let's be conscious of what we put into our body, because what we put into our body is a direct reflection of how we show up in the world. And if you want to show up on your A game, you can't jack your body up on 70 grams of sugar and think that it's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome, Aaron. And just listening to you talking about those high standards that you have for your products, and just listening to you talk throughout this recording, your mindset and your positive attitude. Something I'm very curious about. You guys sponsor, CrossFit athletes, Spartan racers, and PTA professionals. When it comes to picking athletes that you're willing to sponsor, it seems like there's got to be an incredibly high standard for you guys to even consider bringing them on. What are those standards, and what do you look for in those athletes that you sponsor?
Yeah, I mean, alignment with the brand is the biggest. I mean, so many brands will just say like, oh, well, we want that athlete because they've got millions of followers on Instagram, and so we cut the check, and it's very transactional. All of ours start very organic. Typically, we see an athlete consuming the product, or they ask for it, or they're buying it, or they're getting it from their gym, and then that opens a conversation. And then I'll get on the phone with them, I'll take them out to dinner, we hang out for a while, and just like, hey, are they cool to hang out with? Like, I mean, Dave knows, like, life's too short. When we're at all these events and you're grinding and grinding and grinding, like, the last thing you want is a pain in the ass and is part of your life. Like, I cut those people out so quick, any energy suckers, right? It's like vampires. So, we want people that are fun to be around, that we like weirdos and all kinds of diverse people. And so, the more diverse, the more, crazy in some way, the better, but that come from a very strong, fundamental, like, kind of ethically sound. I like people that I leave my wallet on the counter with $1,000 on it, and I go for a hike for a day, and it comes back, and whoever found it hands it to me. Like, those are the only people that I invite over to my house. Those are the people I invite over to my life. I have complete confidence and trust in our team that people aren't stabbing you behind the back or talking shit or, out there to take advantage or whatever. Like, we're building a tribe of, I don't want to say like-minded people, because we're all so different and weird in our own ways, but there's the same kind of ethical framework, the same foundation, so to speak, and that's really where it starts. And then from there, you can choose your own adventure.
I love that. And you're a partner with us with Power Monkey Camp, and you have been for a number of years, and I'm a huge fan of the product. I love it. I love FitAid. I love LifeAid products, and I just thank you to you guys for being a part of what we do, because it means a lot. And to be partnered with a company of your level helps us as well from when we host our camps. And, we just had our most recent camp last week, and, with everything going on with you guys out in California, wasn't sure if you guys are going to want to be on board, and you were there. It was the first product that arrived, and, we really think the world of working with you guys. So from just a personal perspective, being part of Power Monkey, I want to thank you.
I appreciate that, and I've always admired what you guys are doing. You're at the top of your game, and it's been pretty amazing to see the athletes that you all turn out.
Thank you very much, man. So we're getting towards the end here. We got a last couple of questions for all of our guests, if you wouldn't mind sticking around for just 1 or 2 more minutes. Is that cool?
Sure.
All right. So first one, what sport or discipline do you prefer, weightlifting or gymnastics?
Well, seeing as I suck at both, I'm going to have to go with weightlifting.
Oh,
all right. Yes.
Chad gets a little tick in his box. There you go.
I needed that, Aaron. I've been on a big losing streak here the last 3 or 4 recordings, so I appreciate that.
Although the Power Monkey crew has gotten like my handstand into barely a walk better. So yes, I'll give you kudos there. Like,
we got to get you out there.
Things like you stay in CrossFit long enough, and if you're just bad at them, then you just start avoiding them because you're like embarrassed, like you're still bad. And that's one of them. I can't handstand walk to save my life, and I'll admit it right here. And this time only, my double unders are horrible.
We'll get Newman to help out with those for sure.
Mike Bledsoe told me one time, "Oh yeah, just do them with your shoes off." I tried that. I almost killed myself. I was like,
painful.
Jesus Christ.
We definitely got to get you at the camp then. We get you out there, take all the gymnastic stations and the jump rope. You'll be ready for the games in no time. Second question here. Any guests that you think would be great to have on the podcast that you would recommend?
Oh, man. Yeah. Richard Branson, Elon Musk, Joe Rogan would be interesting.
Oh, yeah, I would love to. Good people. If you got any contacts for those guys, shoot them over and I'll reach out.
I just find like who's super into fitness and like a total big shot. That'd be an interesting.
Rogan would be a good one, I think.
Rogan would be a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a beast in the gym. He's actually got some pretty good MMA skills from the mutual friends that we have talked to.
Yeah, any of those would be incredible. We'd be incredibly lucky to have them on as we were with you. But last little bit here, and we'll close it out for you. Know you got something else to get to. We always like to hear, what one book, movie, documentary, or TV series would you most recommend to the listeners?
I'll go with the book, and it's a book I recommend frequently because it really changed my trajectory after reading it. And I was an econ undergrad, business undergrad, and I used to always kind of bag on psychology as being a bunch of woo-woo BS until I realized that everything is psychology and
Absolutely,
and especially behavioral psychology. Cialdini's book, Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion, just changed how I look at everything, how I look at life. And so if you haven't read that, you have to read it. And the reason is if you're not conscious of the factors of persuasion, why we do what we do, then all you're going to be doing is being a sheep walking around to marketers, to new, quote unquote news channels, to what have you. And so, arming yourself with, why do I do what I do? Why do people think the way they think? And understanding that process can help you ethically, manipulate situations towards good instead of use them for what so many people do, is just to sell garbage products or create, a lot of fear mongering out there.
Oh man, absolutely agree. Everything is psychology. It's very intriguing to me. I'll have to check that out for sure. Do you have any parting words for the listeners?
Parting words. I read a quote 2 days ago that I've repeated a few times now in the last couple of days, so I'll go with that. It's from former President Abraham Lincoln. It says, I'm paraphrasing here, so it's not perfect, but you can complain that a rose bush has thorns, or you can rejoice that a thorn bush has roses. I like that.
Oh, that's amazing. And that kind of sums up everything that we talked about today. That's very nice. And Aaron, can't thank you enough for coming on. It was a great conversation to have with you. I think we need to have you back on because, I think Dave will agree we didn't even come anywhere near touching on some of the things that we'd like to. So hopefully until next time, Aaron, thank you again for coming on. Now, Dave, before we get off here, as you mentioned, we just finished up Power Monkey Camp not too long ago. Definitely, man, I can't believe it had been a year since we've been there. I missed it, and I'm already missing camp. Looking forward to May. Do you have any updates for the listeners? Anything that Power Monkey's been working on that they can look out for?
Yeah, absolutely. We actually took this opportunity this last camp to film a digital master camp that we're going to be unveiling in the next few weeks. So keep an eye out for this new product. If you can't be there in person, it's a great first step to working with us, learning our coaching methods, learning our coaching styles. At all of the stations, all of the lectures that we have at camp, there's going to be about 17 videos total. We compiled about 30 hours of actual content that we got within the week. It's a great piece to look out for. It'll be called Power Monkey Camp Master Camp. So we'll be unveiling that next month.
Awesome. Well, since Aaron's favorite discipline is weightlifting, we'll be sure to get those to him. We don't need to send them the gymnastic stuff or anything else like that. But guys,
I need all the help I can get.
For sure. So guys, be sure to check that out. Keep up with that at powermonkeyfitness.com. Also, you can keep up at Power Monkey Fitness, at Dave Durante, and at Ollie Chad on Instagram as always. And guys, on behalf of Power Monkey Fitness, we're your hosts. I'm Chad Vaughn with Dave Durante. And until next time, thank you all for listening.